Well, hello, and thank you for joining us for the Inviting Shift show or the recording. Here, we're just here to share ahas and stories of shift that I am collecting because I'm kind of an aha addict. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the side, any comments. We love to hear them. Even after the show, we'll come back and we'll peruse through them to make sure we've answered them all. So first, we're going to have Michelle Brown is here today with us, and she's going to tell us her amazing shift of learning to be with disease and moving through life. And I've read some of her story. I'm really excited to hear the rest of it. But if you have an aha that you want to share, you're welcome to put it in the message box or just say, hey, Christina, I want to be on the show. I want to tell my aha. That's what I'm here for. I love them all. I want to collect all the ahas that I can. So feel free to reach out to me. But like I said, today we have Michelle, and Michelle is going to tell us a little bit about herself, and then she's going to tell us about this amazing story that she had of transformation and really shifting some perspectives in her life. Welcome. You ready, Michelle? You want to tell me a little bit about yourself?
Okay, yes. Again, like Christina said, my name's Michelle. I'm a life coach, certified life coach. I'm also a crisis intervention specialist. And my website is lifeisawakening.com. And at Life Is, we assist you through your life challenges. And like Christina alluded to, I'm actually, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis back in January of 1996. And so I have transformed or shift, through this disorder. So, and I'm here to share that with you. How I was able to do that.
Yeah, so how did that, wow, that must have come as a shock. How old were you when, if you don't mind telling us, when you got the diagnosis?
Not at all. I was actually 28 years old when
Wow.
I was diagnosis. Yeah, so I was fairly young. And it started with, like, I was having these issues in my leg, like my right foot went numb, and then I would have like really horrible spasms in my leg. And so I went to the doctor. Of course, it was a whole year actually before I was properly diagnosed. I was diagnosed with vitamin deficiency. Someone said it was a heart problem. One doctor actually said it was all in my mind, that I wasn't experiencing whatever. So it was extremely frustrating because there's like, I know something's not quite right, and then not to have a diagnosis for a whole year. It was extremely frustrated. So you can imagine with your mind, the stuff that's going on in your mind, like, oh my God, is this going to take me out? Am I going to die? What's going on? And it wasn't until I went to one physician and he was actually, he said, I don't know what you have. So here, go see this, this specialist in Pennsylvania, because I don't live far from Philadelphia. And so I went to University of Pennsylvania Hospital. I was there all day. They was running all types of tests. And then, eventually they were like, well, this is your diagnosis. So immediately, your mind start going, what's going to happen now?
What does that mean, right?
Exactly. Because the only thing I heard about when they said it, the only thing I could think of, I think Montel Williams at the time. So I was like, is this the same thing he has? Because I knew nothing about it. Absolutely anything about it. What it was, how was it, if it was curable or anything. So of course they tell you your diagnosis and then give you a pamphlet. So then it's up to you to dig deeper and to find out exactly what it all entailed. And that's pretty much what I did.
Wow. And I mean, I find that amazing because I know what it's like to go to doctor after doctor and then not be able to tell you anything. And then, questioning whether or not maybe I'm crazy.
Exactly. Well, maybe it is in my head.
Right, exactly. And that is frustrating to go for so long and have all these things, happen, and you're like, there's no explanation for it. Right. So the diagnosis, although it could have been like, aha, at least I know it's wrong, at the same time, you're kind of like, okay, well, now I'm just as much in the the dark as I was before because I still don't know what this means.
Exactly. Still have no clue. And it wasn't an aha moment. It was more like, that type
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? What is this? What does this mean? You know, now what does this mean for my life? And so of course over the years it progressed. So, you know, when I first diagnosed, I would just have a lot of spasms. Then it progressed to had a walker, had to use a walker and a cane. And now where I'm in my state now, I'm in a wheelchair. So it progressed, and my whole body went through this metamorphosis. But in it, there was a shift in my perception. Like I said, the beginning of the stage, I'm not going to sit here and say I was like, oh, okay. No, I was horrible. I was horrified. Like, oh my God, what does this mean? And especially as it started progressing, then, you go through the whole emotional roller coaster. Like, oh my God. I mean, it was even at a point I remember, which I probably might have been my lowest point before I had that shift. I remember asking God, like, what did I do so horribly wrong, to get the, to be diagnosed with this disorder? Like, what did I do? Like, why me? And so it wasn't until I calmed myself, I started educating myself on it. And I started, the first two, let me backtrack a little bit. Before I had the shift, I would like busy myself so I wouldn't have to address it. So I act like it wasn't there. So I, school and work and home.
Ignore it. Yeah.
I had this chaotic life thinking, if I don't address it, maybe it'll go away.
Right.
But it didn't. It actually, it demanded my attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to face this, or no, there is no or. You're going to face this.
Or we'll make it worse and worse and worse. Like in my case, my body just got worse and worse and said, oh, you don't want to listen to that message? Well, then let me give you another one.
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what happened. Oh, you want to listen to this? Okay. I'm going to give this one to you. I'm going to give this one to you until you acknowledge that I'm here. And when I did acknowledge that, okay, I was diagnosed with MS, but it doesn't define me. It's not who I am, and it's not here to take over my life. Now, okay, so instead of ignoring it, let me find a way that I can make it serve me. You know what I mean? That I can make it accommodate me instead of me accommodating it. And so exactly. So when I had that shift, I said, okay, one, let me educate myself about it. Find out the do's and the don'ts, and then now how can I utilize that to serve me so I can help others that are maybe going through, if it's not a disorder, maybe any life challenge, and let them know, okay, you can get through it. You can conquer it. It's not there to destroy you. You have to face it, and then you have to change your perception, because that's when my whole shift started, when I changed the way I looked at multiple sclerosis. I didn't look at it, okay, this is a disorder that's now I'm not going to be able to live my life. It's just going to totally take over my life. Once I viewed it like, okay, no, I can use it to serve me. And then in turn, I can serve others through it. That's when my aha moment came, and my whole life shifted. My whole life just seemed at ease, at peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the magic of the aha. It's not the knowledge or the information, because we can know that MS doesn't have to end how I live my life. I mean, we can know that in our brain, but it's when we actually, the perspective changes to align with it, where then all of a sudden possibilities pop open everywhere, because you're not focusing on that one thing that you don't want. You're focusing on the millions of things that are actually still possible. And that's phenomenal. I was getting goosebumps when you were saying that, because to be able to get something, an illness like MS, or be diagnosed with it, and be able, you were talking about how horrified you are, but I see the shine in your smile now, the sparkle in your eyes, and like, no one would even guess. Like, I can't even see that you're in a wheelchair, and your attitude, is phenomenal. So, that takes a huge shift, because you're, I'm sorry, I got an itch on my nose. But you're rearranging how you saw your future. That's so often, how our shift has to be, because we're humans, we want to be able to picture the goal and be able to get there. And when something huge happens and kind of says, well, you're not going to get there this way, we all of a sudden get thrown off and we're like, what? But I planned this. And
my future, because I always look at when things come in that we don't expect or we don't even want, or and I don't like to use the word failure. So we'll say it didn't go the way we planned. I always look at it as just a recalculating of our directions to the same road or the same end goal. That's okay. I wanted to do this, but like you just said, but I can't do it that way. So then I have to find another way to do it. So yeah.
And there's like, it's like sailing. There's a storm there. Okay, well, I have to go around it in order to get to where I want to go. I'm not going to go through it, with my little sailboat. Right. And there was a man who had been diagnosed with like really far gone cancer, and he was a professor at Carnegie Mellon. And he gave his last talk. The professors, as they retire, would give one last talk of information. And I'll always remember one quote from there that says, experience is what you get when you didn't get what you wanted. Randy Pausch.
Absolutely. And I read that book. I think it's called The Last Lecture or something.
Yes.
Yeah, I read that book. And you're absolutely right. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, experience is what you get when you didn't get what you wanted. And it's so true. It's just how we look at it. I mean, for you, nothing changed in your life before, after you knew that you had MS. Right. Nothing changed between the point where you were like, I'm ignoring it, right, and then you were embracing it, other than you go, you know what? I'm going to have to find a new way, a new thinking about this.
Yes.
And then it transforms your whole life. And look at you here now. You're 20 years later and you're smiling and seems like you're enjoying life.
I am. I really am. I'm living it to the fullest. I'm living it to the fullest. I'm not. And then, like what I try to tell people, especially people that come, the coaching sessions, don't ignore what's going through. You have to acknowledge it. Because if you don't acknowledge it, it's just going to persist. And that's exactly what I mean. It's going to keep persisting until you take notice of it. But it's how you take notice of it. You know what I mean? How do you perceive it? And so I never tell anyone, oh, you're going to get a life challenge and you're going to be cheery about it the next day. No, it's going to take you, right? It's going to not.
It's true. Sometimes it does. It really does. I mean, and there's gifts with it. There is gifts with me having to go to the hospital 3 times a year for, several years. There was things I learned about myself, how I was living my life that wasn't serving me, was just creating stress or whatever. There are gifts. I mean, if that's what you're looking for, that's what you're going to see. If you're looking for why me and why it's terrible and why, it's not fair, then of course that's what you're going to see.
Get more of it. Now, and just like you said, I always say that you have to look for the life learning lessons, because there's a lesson in your life challenge. Like you said, whether it's showing you, okay, you weren't living your life correctly, or you weren't taking care of your body, or you weren't taking care of your finances, or whatever. There's a life learning lesson in there, and you have to, because unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, life is different than school. School, they give you the lesson and then the test. Life gives you the test and then you have to learn the lesson.
That's true. That's a good one though. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly true. Like, it would be nice, if we all just listened to what our parents told us when they told us it the first time.
We don't.
But we don't. We got to touch that hot pad, right? Or the hot stove. It just has to happen. And that's, that's how we learn, especially when we don't learn the first time.
Absolutely. It'll keep coming and coming until we learn that lesson. So that's one thing I try to, which I, learned, is that once I learned the lesson in it, and the lesson in it, oh my God, there was so many lessons. I should put an S at the end of that. I learned how to be compassionate, patient, understanding, a lot of things that I wasn't before. And then I learned how to say, okay, I can use my story to help others. Then I have a platform to go and say, hey, you can get through it. Yeah, it's I'm not telling you, I'm not going to paint you a silver gold street, or gold street, I should say, a gold street. There's a process to getting there. Because like I said, when I first was diagnosed, I was horrified. And it was years. And it wasn't like I was horrified and then the next day, bam, I had this aha moment. No,
would have been nice.
it would have been extremely. I would have, well, everything's a learning lesson, so I shouldn't say it would have saved me years, but I learned something through the process.
Sure.
But yeah. So it's, but once you change, like you said, the way you view it, once you change your perception about it, then that's when your aha moments are to it. That's when you'll be able to cope, conquer, thrive through it, whatever. Because some things you can't change about it. Like for me, I can't change the diagnosis, but I can change the way I live through it. I can change the way I cope with it and how I use it to help others.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to learn, see the change your perception, and then look at the lessons and the lesson could be anything. It could be like you learning how to take care of yourself more, or love
others. That's a big one.
Yeah, whatever the lesson, but there's a lesson in there, and once you learn it, then you'll have your aha moment, and then of course you'll have another lesson. Right? But when the second
they pop up everywhere.
They sure do. But the good thing about it, once you learn the techniques, like I have to know how I'm looking at this. I have to know what my perception is about it. I have to see the learning lesson. Once you know those steps, then when these lessons do come up, it makes it easier because you're not thrown off. Immediately you go straight into, okay, I know what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Opposed to, okay, it's taking me years to get this aha moment. Your aha moments will start coming, more frequently because now, okay, this is what I have to do. This is what I need to do. This is the way I have to go. So yeah.
And I'm writing a book right now on how we invite shift. Yeah, how we invite shift into our lives and kind of the different stages of shift.
Okay.
So, and you went through all of them, right? You had that something ain't right moment when they're like, okay, well, this is your diagnosis. And you're like, what? And then it sounds like you tried to ignore it for a while, which is something that we all like to do when something is really, really stressful. And then you had to kind of connect to self and go, okay, well, what is this about? What can I do to kind of live with this?
Yeah.
And I think that's when we go internal, and a lot of people think it looks like depression, or it feels like depression, or it feels like isolation. But I think sometimes we need that, to kind of
we do
feel through it. Yeah. And then you had your aha and you were like, hold on, I can live a different way. I just, it's going to change my filters a little bit, but.
Exactly. Right. We have to take that moment where we shut out all the noise in our head and even the noise outside, because you may have people who are not, not healthy for the situation. That be telling you one thing. So sometimes, like you said, you have to go internal and shut out all the noise.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go internal, that's when you can hear, you can hear spirit, God, whatever, whatever you tag through it, but the intuition, and it'll always tell you which way you should go, which you should do next. Yeah, you definitely have to go. I think that should be the first step you do. Go internal.
Yeah, it should be, but you have to know something's wrong first.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely.
That's when that's the first step, is knowing something's wrong, even if you don't know what it is. Because that's what can happen in life. You can get so stressed out that you don't even know what's wrong anymore, because it all just kind of seems normal, but you're excited about anything.
But you're right. That's the first step.
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Yeah, and then the next step, so I call that next stage about going internal, honing in and honoring. So it's getting really clear on what the heck is going on and how you can kind of move forward.
Yeah.
And then there's that I got it aha stage, where you're like, oh, right. And then that's when people think the work is done. Like, oh, I got this new perception. But then, oh, all I have to do is lose 10 pounds. But they still go to McDonald's every day instead of the gym.
Exactly.
You got to make the choices afterwards. You have to start following through on that. Okay, well, if I'm going to live my best life with this illness, then how am I going to do that? What can I do? What kinds of things really turn me on in life that I want to make sure that I include in life?
Right.
How do I take better care of myself? All of those things. And that's what I call the fear and fortitude stage.
That's good.
Is where you get all those challenges.
Yeah.
You're constantly being challenged by, okay, well, well, how about if this thing goes wrong too? Then how are you going to handle that? And you just do, because you have that mantra from your I got it stage, like, oh, I can do this.
Yes.
And you just keep going through. And then the last one is the actual transformation, when your life now looks like that shift that you wanted instead of what it used to. So, exactly. I mean, you went through the whole cycle. I mean, we all go through, we're all in the cycle in probably 100 different places on different things.
Right. Yep.
That's why I think it's so funny when people tell me, oh, I don't have any shift. I'm like, yeah, well, because sometimes the shift seems so silly. You know what I mean? For me, I was 25 and I was like, hold on, I can make my own decisions. I don't have to listen to my mother. Like, of course, it's silly, but it changed my entire perspective. All of a sudden, I was able to make my own choices on a million things, so.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, go ahead. That's
so like you were saying, we're all in a shift. Some of you may not acknowledge it, but you always, like you say, shifting. Yes. So the ideal is to shift to those aha moments.
Yeah, to invite them.
Yes, to invite them, exactly. To invite those aha shift. And with me, the perception cycle, like when you perceive something, and this is how it affects. So say if I perceive something negative, and I have an event, let's take the diagnosis when MS. And if I stayed in that state of it being a negative perception in my life, something negative, then my belief system would build around that. So, oh yes, this is bad. So I believe this is going to be a horrible thing for me. This is going to make me ill and maybe take me out. And then that's my belief system. Then my thoughts are going to back up that belief system. Oh, look now, this is happening. Oh, look now. And I'm constantly thinking, oh, I know this is going to happen. Then here come my emotions. Then I'm all over the place emotionally about this disorder. Oh, I'm sad. Oh, I'm, depressed. Oh, I'm mean towards people. Get away from me. And then my behavior, I start pushing people off. I stopped taking medicine. I stopped doing this. And then, of course, your behavior is going to dictate what's going to happen. My outcome is actually going to show me what I'm perceiving, thinking, and feeling in my belief system.
That's a great point. Yeah, it's whatever we focus on. That's where we're targeting. You know what I mean? Sometimes, like when I'm coaching people lose weight or whatever, they want to feel lighter. They're like focusing on that weight, and I'm like, stop focusing on that weight and start focusing on feeling good, on feeling light, on feeling strong, and like the things that you want. You're targeting the wrong thing. If you're looking over there, that's where you're gonna shoot.
Because what it is what happens when you put out whatever energy, those thoughts and feelings you put out there, the universe is going to bring it to you so you don't think you're crazy. So so my thing is, you're saying I want, but if your thoughts and everything, like you said, I want to lose weight, but everything I do is saying otherwise, so the universe is saying, here you are, this is what you're asking for, so this is what you get.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what
manifest it. I knew a woman once who she could manifest the worst things in her life just because she always assumed the worst thing was going to happen. And by doing that, her actions and her attitude caused other people to react exactly how she thought they were going to. I mean, it was like magic. I was like, wow. Now, if you could just do that for good.
So it's not magic, it's just a universal truth that was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we get what we want, and if all we're focused on is what we don't want, that's what we're going to get. And
get more of. Exactly.
And not only that, when we start focusing on what we want to see in the world, start seeing more of it. It's just like a gratitude practice or anything else. If I look for things to be grateful for, I'm going to find them. If I look for things to be mean and angry about, like, I'm going to find them.
And that is so true. So that's what I started looking for. You hear, this is happening in the world and that's happening in the world. Oh yeah, that's true. But then my thing, I start looking for what's going right. That's what I said, what's going right. And then I notice it's more going right than it is going wrong. But it's all, like you said, it all depends on what you're focusing on. Whatever you're focusing on, you're going to see more of it.
Yeah.
More of it.
You count your complaints, you're going to see a lot of them. You count your blessings, you're going to see a lot of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, that's perfect. So I'm just going to run through some of these additional questions that I
Okay.
have for my own marking for my own collections, I guess.
Okay.
One word to describe the situation when something wasn't right. So you were diagnosed with MS, and what was your immediate word to describe that?
Horrified.
Yeah, I
I
imagine.
was completely horrified at 28, and I didn't know what, because I didn't really know much about it. I didn't know that it was you know, a disorder where your body attacks itself. I didn't know any of that.
Mhm.
So first thing I was horrified. Okay, what does this mean? Because they said your diagnosis is multiple sclerosis and there's no cure. And that's how it was presented to me. So it's like, okay, what does this mean? So I was completely horrified at 28 years old. I didn't know, have a clue what it meant. So
Yeah.
my natural reaction was, okay, I'll ignore it and it'll go away.
Just walk away, no problem. It'll come off my credit in 7 years.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Well, and I wonder today if it's harder or easier that we have like so much information on the internet, because if you look it up though, you can get horrified by some of the things that you look up. You're like, oh my God, I'm gonna turn pink and then my head's gonna explode. Like
Right, exactly. Exactly. So I guess it's a bittersweet that there's a lot,
yeah,
because there is some, like, you can go in and get it, and it's actually information that can actually help you or enlighten you or give you more
yeah.
knowledge. If you can get through
Yeah,
the
you
stuff,
can get
yeah,
support, but you can
yeah,
also get these horrible things where, it's hard to tell on the internet what's real and what's
and what's
not.
exactly. So
So maybe not knowing is
research,
better.
right? You have to research your research.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So one question you would ask somebody, like, so if someone was just diagnosed with MS yesterday and they are in that horrified state, what's one question you could ask them or you think would be helpful to ask them?
Um, what is your perception of what's going to come? Now that you're
Mm,
diagnosed, what is your perception of what's going to come? So, because by them answering that, it'll let me know what point of entry they are for inviting a shift. You know what I mean? Because if they
mm,
see, like, okay, something I can get through, then okay, you're in a good spot. But if they're like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen next, then it's okay. Now we need to change your perception of
right.
the outcome. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
the question.
And like I said, I think sometimes we hear the horror stories. So when we get a diagnosis right away, we think of the worst possible
Right.
scenario.
And
And
see
then that's what we expect. And
that,
it can seem so hopeless then
yeah,
because you're like, oh, nope, this is how it happened for
that,
them. It might
yeah,
happen to
yeah.
me. And
And see, that's how perception works. What happened when you see something, when you're given information, right away you pull from your memory. So if you saw someone that had MS and say they died, so immediately when somebody gives you that information, you're pulling from your memory.
I'm
I'm gonna
dying.
die. Exactly. I'm dying because that's what happened to Mr. John down the street. So that's going to happen to me when
Yeah.
that's not the case at all.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many different situations and
Yeah.
how people treat themselves and, how they, accumulated their illness in the first place, depending
Right.
on what it is.
Exactly. Exactly. And even if, say, if this was a diagnosis that the outcome may be death, let's say that
Mhm.
death is inevitable, then also how you can look at it, okay, now how do I live my life from now until this date that they have given me? You know what
Mhm.
I mean? So that you still, even if they say I got 6 months, you can live your life to the fullest. And not only that, after you're gone, leave a legacy or, leave some type of impact. We have so many people who have went on and we're still benefiting from what
Mhm.
they produced today. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's another way you can look at it. So never say, okay,
Absolutely.
yeah, Mr. John died, so now I'm going to die. Okay, all right. So if that's the case, what are you going to do from now until your death? Let's do,
Right.
put some stuff in place that's going to impact this world, that you have such effect on this world that when you close your eyes, they'll still be speaking about you.
That's right.
Mhm.
And at that point, you have nothing to lose then, right?
You
So
don't,
just
really
go
don't.
out there and do, in 6 months, what will you have been proud to have done in the last 6 months,
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one of the gifts of illness, but it's also like one of the sad truths of our lives where we don't, we act as if we are immortal until we hear
Really?
something otherwise. And it's like, well, there's a lot of illnesses that we can get that we can live just as long as if, we didn't have that illness. And so we're dooming our lives based on this thing. And
Right.
we still have a final date, like whether or not we get sick ever. Like,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
like,
So you might as well. What can I do? Like you said,
yeah, and we
to
don't
make
think
my
about
life
it
more
that way. We're just like, we're
better.
supposed
We
to do
don't.
that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so now how do you handle your challenges now? What do you say to yourself, or do you have a mantra or an daily intention or something?
Yes. What I do when like a challenge comes now, the first thing I do, I ask myself, Michelle, what is your perception about it? How are you looking at it? And then my second step, I ask myself, what are the strategies that you can put in place? And then what's your action plan? So now the challenge, and then also what's in there for you to learn. Because once you learn that lesson, you can move on. But of course, I have to find out how I'm perceiving it first. Then what are my strategies that I can do, and what action I need to take? And that's how I do it, child. Because there's a quote by Roger Crawford, yeah, and it says, being challenged in life is inevitable. So everybody's going to be challenged in life, but being defeated in life is optional. So,
Yeah.
right. So, I mean, I'm going to be challenged. I can't say nobody's going to be challenge free here in life. You're going to be challenged, but it's up to you to be defeated by that challenge. So, yeah.
That's so true. I mean, that's so true because it is our choice whether we have the best or the worst in life. I mean, they say there's a study that's done that your happiness level returns. Like if you're just a regular Joe like me and I win the lottery tomorrow, my happiness level is going to be the same in about 3 months than it is today before I win the lottery. It's not going to change much. For that few months, like I might be enjoying life a little bit more.
But it's going to
my
return.
regular happiness level is going to be there because it's a choice of how happy you want to be. You could be a Kardashian or you could be, homeless. It's kind of your choice to make each opportunity what you have of it.
Yeah, right. Because it's a misconception that things outside you make you happy. Things outside you can add to your happiness. But like you said, your happiness starts within. So if I'm unhappy now, like you said, I'll hit the lottery, and then within a few months, I'll be unhappy. With all this new stuff around me, I'll still be unhappy. And that's why, like, there's a study that showed majority of lottery winners within, I forget what the time frame was, but a great percentage of them, over half of them, will return, will be broke because they don't have that. They didn't go into it with that. It starts with me, I guess.
Yeah.
Thought like the happiness start with me. Like this money can serve me, but this money doesn't bring my happiness. Yeah, and it's a misconception. People think that outside, he can make me happy, she can make me happy. If I have a new house, it'll make me happy. If you're not already happy, those things will either destroy you or make you more of what you already have, unhappy. But if you're happy with yourself, those things can add to it, but it can never, like, so if he or she walk away from you, you're still happy.
You're not dependent.
Exactly.
And it's just like any other addiction that we have in this country. And I think that shopping is one that we don't really even address because, we are a capitalist society and that's how we run. But it's so addictive to go buy things. And that's why we have these people who are like overnight successes or lottery winners, and then they're claiming bankruptcy the next year. It's because they kept giving and giving and giving and buying things. And we're like, whoa, it made them happy for 5 seconds. And then they had to go get the next thing and the next thing. And it's like, that's just so not me.
Me either.
But I learned
I
that
still
because
love
when
it.
I grew up in poverty, you know, and then my mother started making money and I saw that she's still not happy, you know, so the money had no impact. Like she
Exactly.
can go buy a house wherever she wants now and
Uh-huh.
she's just as happy as she was before, you know. So I was like, you know
Absolutely.
what? I'm not chasing money
The,
anymore. I'm
the,
chasing happiness.
yes, exactly. That's my mission, and to help others chase it as well. Yeah, that's my mission. And that because
Absolutely.
you, like you said, you buy the new thing, and then next month something else is out, and now what
Hmm.
you just brought is old now. So yes, I learned that the hard way because I used to love pocketbooks. I said I had
Mm.
not just any pocketbook. It had to be Michael Kors. It had to be your Louis Vuitton. It had to be. And then I looked one day and I looked. I said, now I have my pocketbooks in this drawer are worth more than what I have in my bank account. Something's wrong. Something's wrong with that picture. So I
Yeah.
stopped.
And I don't judge. I mean, if shoes are your thing, purses are your thing,
Right.
whatever you need, like that's all up to you. For me though, it just doesn't work
Me
because
either.
I hate taking care of stuff. I mean, if I'm in all honesty, it's I
Uh-huh.
don't understand how people have huge houses full of stuff because I mean, do they take time to take care of it all day long? And if that's your thing, hey, great
Right.
for
Go
you.
for it. Right.
I'm not a cleaner. I'm not a wanting to keep putting things away or
But like you said, if you have those things and you are happy not because of those things, then you are on a great road. The point is, like you said, is don't look and think those things make you happy. Having those things, if you think having those things, what's the word I put, subscribe to who you are or say who you are, then that's when you really need to start thinking differently. And that's what I had to do with my
absolutely.
purse obsession. I thought by having these, it made me in this certain status quo.
Mhm.
And then I looked and I'm like, okay, but my bank account's saying this and my purse, mm-mm. And that's when I had to have the shift. That was another shift for me, inviting shift to change the way I think. I value me. Who I am is my value, not what I have.
And I think that's such an awesome, like it's a mini shift too, but it's so awesome because it's something that we learn even in high school, right? If I dress this certain way, it means I'm
Yeah,
this type of kid. If I
exactly.
dress that way, I'm in that clique, and that means
Exactly.
I do this certain. So we start taking on those personalities of
We
those
do.
things. So questioning them sometimes and going, well, you know, what is the stereotype or the thing that I'm putting on this item rather than who I
Exactly.
am. So,
Absolutely. Mhm.
what a great little extra shift we got there. That was good.
Yes.
So, what was one word that would describe the entire shift for you?
Awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. My life had been so enriched since I had that shift.
Mm.
Awesome. It's beyond words, but awesome. If I had to put a word to awesome, that shift that I went through, because and then once I had to invited the shift and I made the shift, then it seemed like my life after that was just everything, nothing really threw me off center. If it did, I might have stumbled a little bit, then I came back, back on in center. So yeah, that shift was so awesome for me. It was like the springboard for everything that's in my life right now.
Yeah, and who would have known that, right? I'm sure that at 26 you weren't thinking that this could be one of the greatest life-changing things
No,
ever.
no, I was like, God, why me? At 26, what you
Yeah,
fuck me?
exactly.
Pick somebody
Yeah,
else.
and at 26, who wouldn't, right? I
Right.
mean, especially with limited information.
Right, especially with limited, exactly, information.
Hmm.
Yes.
Are there any books or resources that you would recommend?
Yes. Books, the one book that really, I actually cried after I read this book. It's called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle.
Woo, woo, woo.
Yes,
That book changed my life.
yes, yes. So woo, woo, yes. When I closed that book, I actually cried because it was like, I get it now. I really, really get it. And
Yeah.
so that definitely, if you want to shift, pick up that book. Definitely that book.
Mhm.
Um, Resources, if you're going through like any life challenge, I would suggest that you join a support group, tailored specifically to whoever you're going through, and definitely, get a life coach, or a counselor, or somebody support, or and build your support system. Make sure you have people in your support system that's optimistic, that'll help you through. You don't need anybody in there that, oh, it's horrible, constantly in your ear with negative stuff. So make sure your close circle are positive and optimistic about what you're going through, and even can hand you resources, one or two that get you through it. And definitely join a support group, or definitely get a life coach geared specifically to whatever you're going through. And but yeah, book, if you want that shift, oh my God, you have to read A New Earth.
Oh yeah.
I love that book.
Oh yeah, I started reading that when Oprah and Eckhart did a little they did a chapter review of it every week. It was one year, 2007, I think it was. But that completely changed my perception of life. Like when he was saying, one night I was telling myself I couldn't stand myself. So I had to think, who was I that couldn't stand the other, and
yes.
I was like, wow. And then he talks about the pain body and all of those. I mean,
it's the ego. Oh, I just love it.
Changed my life, changed my entire life.
Right. And I'm a reader. I have over 300 books. I am a reader. I love to read. And I honestly have to say, out of all the books I read, that's the only one I shut the book and cried. I mean, I learned from all the books. Don't get me wrong. All the other authors, I did learn and implement whatever they were, the message they had. But and I cried because I was like, I finally get it. So it was tears of joy. Like, I get this now. I get this thing called life.
He has a way of speaking about humanness that really helped me accept who I was and the pieces that I didn't like, and be able to move forward with them. Like, well, what can I do with this? And just completely. And some people will get it and some people won't. I gave it to my mother and she doesn't. She's like, I just can't even. And I'm like, okay.
And then, like you say, it depends on where you are in your shift and your thinking. So, and I always, because I actually read that book. So someone gave me that book back in 2007. I just read the book maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So I think when you are ready, that's when the information comes to you. You know what I mean? When you're ready.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was at a dark point. It was right past my divorce, and I mean, it was bad. I was really stuck in my own pain body. So to read about that was like, wow, like I'm not just effed up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, I went through the whole thing. I went through divorce. I had to come off my job and all this, and since I was diagnosed with MS.
Wow.
Yeah. So I really went through a lot of life challenges, and all of them were actually at one time. Yeah, all of them was at, the divorce, and then a couple of years later, had to come off the job, because I wasn't able to perform because of the MS, and it was like, oh my God, I can't. The weight of this is killing me.
Yeah.
But I had that shift.
Yeah. But
you're like, okay, now I can help. I can help someone else. If I made it through, everybody can make it through.
And we all need those people. And I think that that's another point that you made about support is so important.
Oh, yes.
Even if, I mean, the most you can do is get a friend to keep you accountable, to even talk about your thing every week, whatever it is. Like, it's just about keeping you focused on what you want.
Yes.
And one thing that I'm in a women's circle with Judy, who's on right now, and
okay. Hi, Judy.
and we're an organization that kind of puts women together, or, helps them organize in circles. And one of the things that we really, really teach about is not rescuing someone. So we do a little bit of tough love. Like we love each other very much, but we're going to hold that mirror up if we need to. We're going to show you the things that you may not want to really admit or look at or ignore. But we're going to show it to you because we love you, and because we want to help you. everybody wants to help. And that was my point, is we do an exercise about rescuing, though, because there's a difference between trying to fix it or
Right.
trying to go, oh, that's okay. It's understandable that you're upset, because, you know, anybody would be upset with that, right? I mean, or however we always try to calm someone else by, okay,
Right.
like, it's okay, it's okay. And
Right.
sometimes it's not okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Sometimes you just need to like say it and be heard saying that it's not
Right.
okay, you know? And so support is, my point is, support is so important, and there's so many ways of how that can look. And life coaches are great, especially if they're focused at what you are challenged with. But accountability, support groups, all of that, and of course, Eckhart Tolle.
Of course. Of
Those
course.
are great resources. I love it when somebody else got that same thing. I'm like, yes, that was the book.
Yes.
What's one thing that you're still working on shifting or would like to shift in the future?
One thing I would like working on shifting. Balancing everything, like my day-to-day balance. A lot of times I like, you know, with life, the curveballs come throughout the day. You have your day planned, and then something unexpected happens. So
Yep.
I would like to learn how to balance that when the unexpected happen, how not to let it knock me so far off. Like how to, you know, okay, hit the curveball and keep moving and keep
A little bit
moving.
more flexible, maybe.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Because I'm like, okay, this has to be done. And then when the curveball comes, I didn't get it all done. Oh my God, what's gonna happen? Then I have to say, calm down, Michelle. How are you looking? I have to go through the steps. Yeah, but that's
I always have to tell myself, everything that needs to get done is going to get done.
Yes. Thanks for telling me that. That's what I need to know. Everything that needs to be done will get done. Okay, I'm gonna use that one.
No, I do often. I think balance is one of those things that we all kind of strive for in life. And there's times where, you know, the balance is, you know, heavier on one side than it is on another. There's times where I want to write my book, so I'll, like, you know, squirrel myself away in a room for hours or days at a time, and then I'll spend days with my family. You know, like, so it's all relative. However you do.
However you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's one thing you hope to do before you die?
Whew, that list is long. Let me see if I can name one.
Give us one or two really good ones.
Impact the one person who's going to impact millions. I would like to do that. Yeah, I would like to do that. And the other one, travel. I would like to I travel now, but I mean, like outside of the country. Like maybe like go see the pyramids or the Eiffel Tower. Like I've been all around the country here, but not out. Yeah, so that would be. But I definitely want, if I'm not the one to impact millions, at least impact the one person who's going to impact millions. And then that way I feel as though I left a legacy.
Yeah, that is a nice ripple effect.
Yes.
Of course. What's one person that's made a huge difference in your life, or if you were going to hashtag something, it made the difference? What is that thing?
Oh, the thing or person?
Thing or person?
Oh, thing
or both.
The one thing, reading books. Yes, reading book and seeing different people's perspectives about life. Helped me formulate like my own ingredients, I guess, to dealing with life. So that impacted me. Yeah, reading different, gaining that wisdom of other people, you know, and from all type of authors, Eckhart Tolle, Maya Angelou, Stephen Covey, like all different authors, the plethoras, and they all from different genres, you know, not just self-help. Some, you know, people write memoirs and yeah. So that would be the most impact on my life, reading.
That's very cool, because when I think about that, That's what I did when I was younger because I had an older brother, so he owned the TV. There was no TV for me. I had books. So I read a lot, and reading is so much different than TV because not only do you have to imagine it all in your mind, and it's like, but it's always your version, where on
Right.
it seems like so much the TV is aimed at one certain type of audience or, getting the broadest audience in
Yeah.
one show, attracted to one show, right? Where books weren't that way. Authors were like, well, you either like my writing or you don't. You know what
Right.
I mean? And
Right.
this is my story. So authors get to be so much more authentic with their stories. They don't have anybody else interpreting them, like actors or people
Right.
designing scenes or any of that stuff. It's all just your brain
Right.
from their brain.
I think that's what drew me to that. Like you said, that authentic, being authentic.
Hmm.
And, I know, okay, this is them. This is them being transparent. So
Hmm.
I think that's what draws me to it. Like, oh, okay, I get it. If they did it, then let me try this. And I take a little piece from here, a little piece from over there, and then formulate my own. And it's getting me through life.
Yeah, it's still authentic and not like commercialized. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's brilliant. I think that that's one of the things I miss most is I don't read as much as I'd like to. I actually go into book clubs just to make sure that I like am forced to kind of because it's one of those things, going to the gym is good for you, but you
Right,
need a
right.
partner to make it go.
Absolutely. I'm facing the same challenge now because I just launched my business back in December. So then I'm in the process, putting programs together. So I can't read. So I'm like intermittently like grabbing the book and trying to read, putting it down, trying to read. But I don't have the time to like actually take a day and just sit and read like I used to.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm
One
trying
of the things that I'm reading is all like business stuff, and like,
exactly,
I need to
exactly.
get a good mix of like nonfiction or like I really love autobiographies
That's
and
why.
memoirs and stuff. Those are my kind of thing. I like true stories. My husband's into sci-fi and stuff, and I like true stories. I like something that I can believe.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, those were all my questions.
Okay.
And that's all I got. Is there anything else? Oh, you know what? And what is where can they find you? I'll type it in the side since you're on your phone.
Okay.
Where can they find
Okay, they
you?
can find me. The website is lifeisawakening.com, or you can also find us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/living life now and the number 2.
I think
Yes.
that's right. There we go.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I wanted to make sure all your information got in there for the people on the recording. Yay. So they'll be able to see all that. And thank you so much. That
Thank
hour went
you.
by really fast.
It
What
did.
a
It
fun
did go by fast.
conversation.
Thank you so much
What a
for.
fun conversation. So you're coaching, do you coach online then, or can you
Yes.
do distance coaching? Yep.
Yep, it's I coach online. You can see via Skype, teleconference, or you can even call. We have a 1-800 number. You can call in, and we actually coach there. But we don't do face to face. It's all online coaching.
Okay.
To
And
make
you
it,
think you have
make it
programs coming
convenient.
up?
Yes, we have programs coming up. The one right now is a course in perception. So it's all about the whole step of perception, and the objective is to get when you're done, when you go through the course, that you're able to, when you have a life challenge, how to perceive it, and what steps to implement once you perceive it from a positive perception, no matter what the crisis is. Yeah.
Very neat. I would like to, I'm percolating ideas in my brain about getting a summit together around mindset and shift. So yeah, so maybe I can get you on that and we can kind of work together because I think that there's so much to talk about. I mean, people think, oh, it's just, I know when I was growing up, psychobabble, is that like a hypnotist? They're just going to change my thoughts, but that's not how it works. There's actually a lot of work behind it, but there's also a lot of like science behind it, which people
Yes,
don't think about. They think it's just some kind of hazy
right.
magical fairy dust, and that's not what it's about. It
That's what it's
would
about.
be nice.
Yeah, it would be. I could have used it 20 years ago.
Bring me a few sparkles.
But thank
All
you
right.
so much for inviting me. And I love the topic. That's what made me interested. The topic when it said inviting shift. And I'm like, it's just something about reading that. It puts like a calm over me.
Yeah.
Every time I go to your Facebook page, like I love that inviting shift. It's like it embodies what life is about.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, that's how I look at it. I think that there's a flow that we can choose to be in, or we can ignore it or fight it even, you know. We can try to deny that it's even there, you know. We can do a lot of things, but I think that, you know, when we let go and release into that flow of the shift and just kind of let ourselves be taken, even though it can be scary, that's how we invite shift. We invite shift by being open to the storm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when I try to tell people, like when it comes to like say shift, and when it comes to like universal truths, and I always tell them, you know, whether you believe in it or not, it's there. It's like gravity. If you don't have to believe in gravity, but if you go to a 12-story building and jump out, you will hit the ground. Even if you have a parachute, at one time after the parachute subside, you will hit the ground. So it's the same with perception and true universal truth. You don't have to believe in it, but it is true. It's there.
Well, and it's like Eckhart Tolle said, the truth doesn't need to be defended.
Exactly. There you go.
That was a huge aha for me. Like, because I was really angry after my first divorce, and it was like, hold on, I don't have to prove that I'm an awesome mom and blah, blah, blah. Like, it just is true. And if they don't believe it, they don't need to believe it. It's going to be still true.
Change the truth. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, what a great conversation. Thank you.
I enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to stop the recording now, but